We're here at SummerNAMM 2015 on the Coil Audio booth with James, who's going to show us his new tube amplifiers. So, James, these look spectacular.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about what's inside? What are they doing?
Well, they're tube Micres. It's based on kind of a early 1920s Western Electric design that kind of everybody and their brother made throughout all the way up into the 50s and 60s, just as tubes and technology changed. The amplifiers would change a little bit, but basically the same Western Electric two-stage tube design. Currently we're using all NOS components. We're pulling our vacuum tubes out of Europe. Capacitors and resistors are all old mil-spec carbon comp resistors from Allen Bradley. All the capacitors are all vintage paper and oil, but it's a straight 1960s design. As far as we're concerned, technology froze in the mid-60s, and nothing really got better after that, so we decided to force our design principles to encompass nothing but stuff that was used back then. From the connectors, to the components, to the philosophy behind the build, everything.
So, do you want to talk us quickly through the what we've got on the front panel? You've got an interesting, negative feedback control here.
Negative feedback control. Well, tube amp designers have always used what's known as negative feedback in their circuits, and what it is you actually take the output of the amplifier and wrap it back around to the input, just like feedback, normal feedback.
Yeah.
And you would do this to control the distortion characteristics of the tubes. So by adding negative feedback, you cancel out the distortion that's inherent in the tubes, and also noise, or any noise that leaks into the signal. Different companies, even though they were all using the same design, they use different amounts of negative feedback. RCA would use less negative feedback because it makes the signal more forward and bright, so it matched their ribbon microphones, which were really dark and smooth.
Sure.
Companies like Gates and Collins and Longevin were expecting you to be using a high fidelity microphone, so they used more negative feedback to cancel out the harmonic distortion of the tubes. So we decided to put it on a knob so you can actually voice the amplifier from kind of smooth and dark like a Collins or a later RCA, or pull it back and turn it into an RCA that's really forward. So it's almost like a 3D thing. You can literally move sounds forwards and backwards in your mix spectrum.
Cool.
And then the high and low EQ, it's not really an EQ, it's actually high and low filtering in the negative feedback circuit.
Right.
So what it's doing is phase cancellation. So as you play with the low end, you're causing different phase cancellation in the low end, which makes the low end come forward or come backwards, as well as get boosted.
Okay.
So, and you also get more gain as you decrease or come backwards on the negative feedback. The amp goes from about 42 to 60 dB of gain.
Okay, and this is the 6-channel version we're looking at here.
This is our 6-channel version. You can, it comes with here's our power supply for it. Here's the 6-channel rack. And then we also have a 2-channel system that you can get with either 1 or 2 amplifiers, but it's the exact same circuit, exact same components, literally exactly the same stuff. Just a smaller package for someone who's not interested in getting 6 channels.
And is it possible to run one into the other? Can you run them in series or parallel?
Absolutely. If you were working on a tube console, your signal would come in and hit one of these booster amplifiers, then it would go through your passive mix bus, and then hit another one of these amplifiers on the way to the studio or the broadcast feed or whatever. So you can chain these together, and then it becomes the entire path of a vintage tube console that has anywhere from 92 to 120 dB of gain. And you can distort the crap out of them, which is pretty badass.
Sure. Okay, so also inside, I was seeing earlier that you've got some interchangeable, here we go.
So here's an inside look at the circuit itself. This is the cage that kind of helps with shielding. Here's the input pad, which is all, again, carbon comp balanced H resistors. And then we're offering optional transformers that you can actually plug right in and out. This is our high nickel version of our input. We also have a low nickel that's a little bit more mid-rangey and punchy. We're working on a high nickel output version, which has a little bit more extended frequency response, more low end, a little more top. And we're also working on amorphous cores versions of both our input and output, which apparently are like smooth, dark chocolate. So super smooth, super dark, not high fidelity by any means, but who knows? Might be cool.
And so how much does this cost then, and how much did the
2-channel unit?
The 2-channel.
A standard module with our low nickel input is $1,500. To upgrade to the high nickel, it's $1,525. For both input transformers, it's $1,600. The rack and power supply for the 6-channel system is $990. And then our mono unit is $2,100, transformer options. Our stereo unit is 35, and then transformer options on top of that.
And these are all available now?
All available now.
Great. Thanks very much, James.
CoilAudio.com.
Cheers.
Thank you.